Good morning, friends. I am Captain Dr. D.K. Ramawat, non-invasive cardiologist working at Ramawat Heart and General Medicine Hospital, Badmer, Rajasthan, India. Last time we have discussed part 2 of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, and I hope you must have enjoyed that chapter. And today we are going to discuss part 3 of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, and I am sure that you will enjoy this also. So we are running in hypertrophic cardiomyopathy part 3 with only approximately 4,000 cardiologists. For a populous country like India, the ratio of cardiologist to cardiac patient is poor. The other challenge faced by cardiologists is to keep abreast with advances in diagnosis and management for a heterogeneous disease such as hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, so distinctly different from CAD. I again repeat, the other challenge faced by cardiologists is to keep abreast with advances in diagnosis and management for a heterogeneous disease such as hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, so distinctly different from CAD. Currently, expertise in hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is underdeveloped in India, and there are no established multidisciplinary centers specifically designed for the systematic assessment of patients with this disease. Now, approach to Indian patient of HCM. Clinical features of HCM. Patient may present with syncope during physical activity, chest pain, especially after physical exertion or heavy meals, palpitation, dyspnea, especially with physical exertion, fatigue, swelling in the ankle, feet, legs, abdomen and veins of the neck, dizziness, lightheadedness, arrhythmias, heart murmurs may be asymptomatic as well. Now I am going to take you at the clinical examination, which may reveal what? Number 1, Bisphaerian pulse. Everybody knows the carotid pulse has an initial brisk rise followed by mid-systolic declines as a result of LVOT of obstruction. Then a secondary rise called pulsus Bisphaeriensis. Second, medium pitch ejection systolic murmur, best heard at left lower sternal border and at apex, but not radiating to carotids and increasing with Wallace-Manor and after standing, and it is decreased by squatting and Trendelenburg position. Remember, this is increasing, this LVOT gradient increasing with Wallace-Manor and after standing, and it decreases by squatting and Trendelenburg position. Number 3, murmurs of grade of 3 to 6 implies peak gradient more than 30. For purpose of diagnosis, HCM is defined as non-dilated left ventricular hypertrophy in the absence of other cardiac or systemic causes of left ventricular hypertrophy. The definition of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy in adults and children is represented in table underneath. So, what is the definition in adult? a left ventricular wall thickness of more than 15 mm by echo or by MRI indicates HCM. And in children, increased LV wall thickness more than 2 standard deviations from the mean for that age or body mass index. This is the definition for in children. Then what is the subclinical definition? Genotype positive with absence of phenotype expression is the subclinical HCM. Now what is genotype positive? Genotype positive is a wild type and unmodified gene. What is phenotype? The physical and psychological characteristics of an organism from both genetics and environment. So genotype positive with the absence of phenotype expression is subclinical HCM. Now I am going to take you two-dimensional echocardiographic criteria which are used to aid diagnosis, and the following three options are suggestive of HCM. Number 1, unexplained maximum wall thickness more than 15 mm in any myocardial segment. Number 2, the septal or posterior wall thickness ratio more than 1.3 in normotensive patients. Or third, the septal or posterior wall thickness ratio more than 1.5 in hypertensive patients. Then the echocardiography has some limitations. Radial contractile functions assessed using the ejection fraction or fractional shortening is typically normal or supranormal in patients with both obstructive and non-obstructive. Ejection fraction is a suboptimal measurement of ventricular function, mainly because of low and diastolic LV volume. Here volume is less because LV is hypertrophied, so LV volume is less. The increased wall thickness results in augmented radial wall thickening and overestimation of ventricular systolic function. When hypertrophy is confined to the anterolateral wall, posterior septum or apex, echocardiography may underestimate the wall thickness. Meticulous imaging and multiple views become necessary in addition to other imaging techniques. Cardiac MRI may offer more precise assessment of hypertrophy. Approach to different DD for HCM. We will do the DD from aortic stenosis, systemic hypertension, athlete's heart, Pompe syndrome, Fabry disease, and Noonan syndrome. Now I am going to take you guideline-based approach to diagnosis, schematic approach to diagnosis of HCM. You must know the underneath figure which provides a schematic approach summarizing the general approach to diagnosis of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Counseling is essential. Number 1. Counseling is essential before and after testing for genetic disease. Genetic testing is recommended in patients fulfilling diagnostic criteria for HCM to enable cascade stage genetic screening of their relatives in parents, brothers, sisters, and other family members. The third and the last but not the least, for recommendations on individual investigation, please see the relevant sections. Now I am coming to schematic approach to diagnosis of HCM by this figure. So here we have to see three things. Number 1, clinical evaluation. Number 2, diagnostic red flag features. Red flag means serious disorder. Number 3, genetic testing. First we take the clinical evaluation. Here we have to go for 3 points. Number 1, pedigree means genetic signs symptoms found out by Mendelian genetics, and they are 4 types of mode for a disease. Mendelian has said it. Then second, we will do the ECG, and high voltage and septal Q waves are seen in the HCM. Then the third, cardiac imaging laboratory, we do first we do the echo, and then the MRI, it shows the HCM. Then we come to red flag, the serious disorders which are suggesting of a specific disease. What are those? What are the red flags? Features? Number 1, LV function, L dilation, atrial fibrillation, 6-minute walk test, which will be decreased because there is the maximum wall thickness. Then number 5, sudden cardiac death. Number 6, pathophysiologic complexities. Then here you must know that we have to do screening of first degree relatives. And then the third point, genetic testing should be considered. Here you know already, we have discussed in part 1 and part 2, if there is definite disease causing sarcomere protein gene mutation, then it is 100% HCM, it is 100% genetic HCM if there is sarcomere protein gene mutation. And if you don't find sarcomere protein gene mutation, that it is not definite or 100% HCM, then you have to reconsider other genetic causes. Now I am going to take you genetics of HCM. This is the Mendelian's law. 4 types of mode for a disease scene. Number 1, autosomal dominant. Number 2, autosomal recessive. Number 3, X-linked dominant. Number 4, X-linked recessive. So we are coming to autosomal dominant. They don't skip generations. Disease do not skip in son or daughter, and affected parents can have unaffected children. And in this criteria you will see the true HCM number 1, then the Huntington's disease number 2, then achondroplasia number 3. So you can see the autosomal dominant. Here what he said affected parents can have unaffected children. Now father is affected, mother is affected, but the son is not affected. Affected parents can have unaffected children. So this is autosomal dominant. Now we come to autosomal recessive. Skips generation. Disease skips in son or daughter and reappear in grandson or granddaughter. Unaffected parents can have affected children. Here the examples of diseases will be cystic fibrosis, sickle cell disease, and HCM also reported in rare families. So you will see here the autosomal recessive. Parents can have affected children. You see, unaffected parents, mother is not affected, father is not affected, but then they can have a daughter which is affected. Now we will go to X-linked dominant. Disease never transfer from father to son. Disease never transfer from father to son. And all daughters of an affected father will be affected. All daughters from affected fathers will be affected. And here the disease will be vitamin D resistant rickets. Then we go number 4, the last but not the least, X-linked recessive. Males are more affected. And disease tend to transfer from mother to son and father to daughter. Mother to son and father to daughter. Disease never transfer from father to son. Disease never transfer from father to son. It is transferred from mother to son. Father is transferring unhealthy daughters. So disease never transfer from father to son, and it is transferred to daughters and disease tends to be transferred from mother to son, and males are more affected in this condition. So it was X-linked recessive, and here example of diseases are: number 1, hemophilia; number 2, color blindness. Now I am going to take you the clinical features and investigation that help to differentiate sarcomeric hypertrophic cardiomyopathy from its phenocopies. What is a phenocopy? An individual showing features or characteristics of genotype other than its own, but produced environmentally rather than genetically. Remember, produced environmentally rather than genetically. That is the phenocopy. An individual showing features or characteristics of a genotype. Genotype is what? Entire complex of genes inherited from both parents. So phenocopy is produced by environmentally rather than genetically. So what are the features and possible pathologies? Now I will tell you that if you will find in neonates and infants what? Inborn error of metabolism, such as glycogen storage disease and mitochondrial cytopathy, only neonates and infants. Then in adolescents or young adults you will find Danon disease, Fabry disease, sarcomeric HCM, then protein kinase cardiomyopathy. In middle age you will find amyloidosis, sarcomeric HCM, Fabry disease, hypertensive cardiomyopathy. In elderly you will find what? Cardiac amyloidosis, hypertensive cardiomyopathy, and evidence of multisystemic extracardiac involvement will be seen. Inborn error of metabolism and Fabry disease and amyloidosis. Then if we do the blood test, then you will see that if we go for metabolic panel, then you must know that abnormal inborn error of metabolism if present, then suspect glycogen storage disease. If the renal failure is present, then suspect Fabry disease or amyloidosis. If you see creatine kinase raised, suspect Danon disease, mitochondrial cytopathy. Now if you see ECG, then if there is ventricular pre-excitation, then suspect Danon disease, Pompe disease, and protein kinase cardiomyopathy. If you see short PR interval, suspect Fabry disease, mitochondrial cytopathy. If you see AV drop, then you must suspect the protein kinase cardiomyopathy, mitochondrial cytopathies, Fabry disease, and amyloidosis. If you see QRS complex or small, then they are found in cardiac amyloidosis. If you see QRS are extremely large, then suspect Pompe disease or Danon disease. And when we do MRI, there we will see late gadolinium enhancement of inferior lateral wall, which denotes the fibrosis, and global subendocardial late gadolinium enhancement on contrast enhanced images with concentric hypertrophy seen in amyloidosis. This is all about phenocopies. Now I am going to take a few phenocopies so that we can understand their causes, signs, symptoms, and the treatment. We will take the 4 phenocopies. Number 1, Pompe disease, an inherited disorder caused by buildup of a complex sugar called glycogen in the body cells. The accumulation in certain organs and tissues, especially muscles, impair their ability to function normally. Now what are the signs, symptoms of Pompe disease? Number 1, weak muscles. Number 2, poor muscle tone. Number 3, enlarged liver. Number 4, failure to gain weight and failure to grow at the expected rate, it means failure to thrive. Trouble in breathing problems, infections in respiratory system, then problems with hearing. What is the treatment? Treatment lies in lysozyme enzyme replacement therapy. Second, phenocopy, Danon disease, also called God is my judge. Danon disease is caused by mutations in the LMP2 gene, lysozyme associated membrane protein gene cardiomyopathy, also called Danon disease, which is a great disease process characterized by rapid clinical deterioration leading to life-threatening arrhythmias and cardiac death. Cardiac death in young patients less than 25 years. In young patients less than 25 years, it requires time molecular diagnosis. And treatment consists of heart transplantation. Heart transplantation. Now I am going to take you the third one, the Fabry's disease. It is a rare genetic disease with the deficiency of an enzyme called alpha-galactosidase A. The disease affects many parts of the body, including the skin, eyes, gastrointestinal system, kidney, heart, brain, and nervous system. Symptoms of Fabry disease include episodes of pain and burning sensations, angiokeratomas, hypohidrosis, corneal opacity, hearing loss, and treatment lies in enzyme replacement, alpha-galactosidase A. Then the fourth, last but not the least, Noonan syndrome. It is a disorder that involves unusual facial characteristics, short stature, heart defects present at birth, bleeding problems, developmental delays, malformations of bones of rib cage. Noonan syndrome is caused by changes in one of several autosomal dominant genes. So, regarding treatment, there is no cure. Manage symptoms and complications only. Children may need treatment for heart problems. Simultaneously, I am repeating the figure which I have seen in the last part second, that gene known to cause hypertrophic cardiomyopathy phenocopies. Because we are studying phenocopy, we will take selected only. Deficiency of alpha-galactosidase A causes Fabry's disease. Mutation in lysozyme associated membrane protein 2 causes Danon disease, and mitochondria gene mutation produce diabetes mellitus, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease. Then mutations in frataxin gene causes Friedreich's ataxia. Then myotonin protein kinase causes myotonic dystrophy. So this was the all in short phenocopy. Now I am going to take you at the diagnosis of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Very important, and it is, I am telling you by figures only so that you can never forget in your life. First is exertional syncope. Don't confuse with exertional dyspnea. This is exertional syncope, unconsciousness. Then dyspnea on exertion. This is the exertional dyspnea. Second point. Third, patient will be always young. Then autosomal dominant seen by the Mendelian law. Then you will see as for heart sound, because ventricle is thickened. So here there is a my moderate this LV volume depletion, and when the blood flows from LA to LV, it produces a thickened wall S4. Then heart and the heart's mid-systolic crescendo, decrescendo murmur is heard. Murmur is felt, and this murmur increases during Wallace form maneuver and standing. The murmur increases during Wallace form maneuver and standing, and the murmur decreases during squatting and Trendelenburg position. Then beta blockers and calcium channel blockers decreases obstruction. Remember, beta blockers and calcium channel blockers decreases obstruction, and avoid positive inotropes like nitrates because they worsen obstruction. Now, very important sign, very important sign, a question of DM. Here, pressure testing demonstrating the broken burrow brown word Morrow sign. The broken burrow brown word Morrow sign. Here, due to Frank Sterling law of the heart, the contraction of left ventricle and pressure generated by the left ventricle will be greater on the subsequent beat because of the dynamic nature of outflow obstruction in HCM. The obstruction increases more than the left ventricular pressure increases. As the obstruction increases more than the left ventricular pressure increases, where LVOT, this causes a fall in aortic pressure. This causes a fall in aortic pressure and fall in cardiac output as the left ventricular pressure rises. This is seen as the yellow shaded area in the picture. This is the first beat, second beat, third beat and fourth beat. When you see the fourth beat, the pressure of left ventricle is rising and the pressure of aorta is decreasing. This is the pressure of left ventricle rising and pressure of aorta decreasing and cardiac output decreasing. This is known as the broken burrow downward Morrow sign. Now I am going to take you the management of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Lifestyle measures. As a general rule, conditions that reduce circulating blood volume should be avoided to prevent worsening of obstruction in event of fever, diarrhea and dehydration. There is general consensus that patients should abstain from competitive sports as well as from strenuous and protracted physical activities which can trigger arrhythmias and sudden cardiac death. The advisable level of exercise may be evaluated on an individual basis by exercise echo, eating healthy diet, reducing alcohol use, quit smoking and quit illegal drugs, having regular medical appointments, reduce stress and get enough sleep and rest, get support from friends and family, controlled hypertension, controlled diabetes mellitus, control body weight and stay active. Stay active. Here are 10 steps to protect your children, family members and anyone you love against the ravage, severe extensive damage of HCM. Remember that statistically, if one member of your family has been diagnosed with HCM, then one half of your family members are at risk for developing this disease. Evolution of first degree relatives means father, mother, brother and sister on a regular and repetitive basis can go a long way towards correct diagnosis and effective treatment. It is important to extend the medical information to as many relatives as possible. Try to make the effort to contact others even if you are estranged, no longer close. Still you must contact them and contact them. And remember to breed love. Always remember that hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is sneaky, decisive, sneaky disease. It is many times missed or misdiagnosed. It is many times missed or misdiagnosed. Now I am going to take you the common causes that are confused with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. They are number 1 asthma, number 2 mitral valve collapse, number 3 anxiety, Number 4, coronary artery disease. And 5th, athletic heart. Now, the third point which I want to say, be aware of symptoms that require prompt medical attention. And these are the symptoms of SCM. What are? Chest pain with exercise or simple activities such as walking, shortness of breath, lightheadedness and extreme tiredness. Again I repeat, chest pain, shortness of breath, lightheadedness, extreme tiredness are symptoms of SCM. Then avoid circumstances that increase your risk. Avoid hot weather and dehydration. Be aware of need for vigorous fluid resuscitation during infections, gastroenteritis or exercise. Avoid burst of activity. Avoid isometric activity. What is isometric activity? Isometric activity is contraction of muscles without movement of affected joint. Contraction of muscles without movement of affected joint is isometric activity. Now, with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy in humans, the lining of blood vessels in the heart tends to be affected. So, unfortunately, this is not just limited to the heart, but also involves the blood vessels network to other organs throughout the body. So, you must eat what? Foods that improve the lining of your blood vessels include what? Nuts, seeds, dark chocolate, fruit and vegetables. Prolonged period of walking help revitalize the lining of your blood vessels. Prolonged periods of walking help revitalize the lining of your blood vessels. Now I am taking regarding the foods. Foods that decrease the function of the lining of blood vessels include what? Sugary drinks, means soft drinks, high salt, high fat, high sugar, high fructose corn means glucose syrup, and even high protein. If you take high protein, that will also decrease function of lining of blood vessels. So this is what? Life is about balance. You have to keep balance. So life is about balance and balanced diet. So life is what? About balance and a balanced diet. Then be aware of disease or circumstances that can worsen hypertrophic cardiomyopathy or cause it to progress faster, which are what? Number 1, sleep apnea, diabetes, obesity, hypertension, rapid weight gain, and hypercholesterolemia. Then steroids, including drugs like prednisolone, anabolic steroids, testosterone can aggravate the conditions. The use of growth hormones can aggravate the condition. Supplement that increase growth hormone can aggravate the condition, and supplement of testosterone levels will aggravate the conditions and may also accelerate the SCM. Avoid drugs that can increase your risk of having a bad event. What are those? Avoid stimulant and decongestant. Avoid alcohol. Avoid alcohol consumption, as its diuretic effect can lead to decreased blood volume and much more obstruction in LVOT. If you are on blood thinner like Coumadin or warfarin, remember to have your blood checked monthly. For any abrupt new onset of neurological symptoms such as muscle weakness, severe headache or changes in vision, seek prompt urgent medical attention. Seek prompt urgent medical attention if muscle weakness, severe headache, change in vision. Once diagnosed with SCM, you are restricted from competitive sports and extremes of exercise such as avoiding heavy weightlifting. Now we are continuing the same. If you are on beta blocker for SCM, it is imperative that it is taken daily. Missing a dose results in rebound effect, then make your heart rate increase and put you at increased risk of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Number 10, last but not the least, enjoy life. Enjoy your life. Keep active and eat healthy. Keep active and eat healthy. Most people with SCM have a normal life expectancy. Most people with SCM have a normal life expectancy. Approaches to management. Approaches to management. SCM care needs close collaboration between what? Cardiologist, clinical geneticist, thoracic surgeon, interventional cardiologist, electrophysiologist. One of the major challenges in SCM management is identification of patients at high risk for adverse outcome. During follow-up, special attention should be paid to so-called red flags, serious disorders of progression. These include reduction of pelvic function, LH dilation, reduction of maximum valve thickness. 6 minutes walk test has to be done, then you can find out. Disease or onset of atrial fibrillation. In addition, risk stratification for sudden cardiac death should be performed periodically. Treatment also requires a comprehensive understanding of the pathophysiologic complexities resulting from disease. Educate the patient and families that screening of first degree relative means father, mother, sister, brother for SCM should occur. Note, treatment must be individualized to the particular presentation of each patient. Now I am going to take you to again the management in symptomatic patient. Management in symptomatic patient includes the following. The treatment goals are directed towards number 1, altering the natural course of disease, number 1. Number 2, pharmacological therapy which alleviates the symptoms. What are the symptoms? Exertional dyspnea, palpitation, chest discomfort. Then number 1 is the beta blockers are the first line agents because of their negative inotropic properties and ability to slow adrenergic induced tachycardia. Slowing down the heart rate also improves diastolic filling. We have to improve your diastolic filling because patient is going in diastolic heart failure. Verapamil could be the next line of treatment. For patients with SCM with LVOT, obstruction who do not respond to beta blocker or verapamil alone, combine disopyramide with a beta blocker or verapamil to treat symptoms of angina or dyspnea. Despite good medical therapy, persistent signs and symptoms of volume overload occur. Despite good medical therapy, persistent signs and symptoms of volume overload occurs. Diuretics used with extreme caution. Oral loop diuretics such as furosemide or thiazide diuretics such as hydrochlorothiazide should be used with caution and dose on an individual basis. The patient should be closely monitored. Over diuretics of the patient with SCM can result in severe symptoms of volume depletion. So watch for diuretics. Angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors or angiotensin receptor blockers for treatment of symptoms is not well established and should be used with caution. Now we are going, or you can say we are running the medications that are contraindicated for patients with SCM. What are the medications which are contraindicated? Include digital is number 1 contraindicated. Dihydropyridine calcium channel blockers like nifedipine, contraindicated. Intravenous positive inotropic drugs like dopamine, dobutamine and norepinephrine are contraindicated, are absolutely contraindicated. Invasive therapy for symptomatic patients with SCM include what? Invasive therapy. Number 1, surgically implanted LV devices. There are so many devices. Implantable cardiac defibrillator for secondary or primary prevention of sudden cardiac death. Then pacemakers. Then CRT, cardio resynchronization therapy. Then surgical septal myomectomy, it is an open heart surgery. Then alcohol septal ablation means ASA, it is a non-surgical procedure. Then lastly, heart transplantation for systolic dysfunction with refractory heart failure symptoms. For progressive and drug refractory heart failure caused by LVT obstruction, we have to use surgical septal myomectomy or alcoholic septal ablation. Now I am going to tell you the MAPKI. MAPKI is the rules for treatment. MAPKI rules for the treatment of management of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. If the patient comes with SCM, first treat comorbidities like which are by according to guidelines. First treat hypertension, lipids and diabetes mellitus. And if you find obstructive physiology, then avoid vasodilators and high dose diuretics. And even if heart failure and angina patient symptoms occurs, then you must go for beta blocker, verapamil and disopyramide. If symptoms persist, then you must go for invasive therapy. In invasive therapy, first is surgical myomectomy. Only when patient accepts it, otherwise no. And if patient does not accept surgical myomectomy, then go for this non-surgical alcohol septal ablation. And if patient does not accept alcohol septal ablation, then consider pacing. And if you see there is no heart failure symptom or angina symptom, then you must go for annual clinical evaluation for 12 to 18 months in children and adolescents and every 5 years in adults. Now, if you don't find obstructive physiology, then go for heart failure symptom and angina treatment. So, to treat heart failure symptom and angina, first take systolic function by echo. If you find systolic function is decreased, means LVF is decreased less than 50%, then therapy as outlined in heart failure guideline should be done. And if you find that ejection fraction is normal, more than 50%, then beta blockers, verapamil, disopyramide should be used, and diuretics used cautiously, ACE inhibitors and ARB used cautiously. And if you don't find heart failure symptoms or angina, then you go for annual clinical evaluation for 12 to 18 months in children and adolescents and every 5 years in adults. This was all the MAPKI for the rules of the treatment. Now I am going to take you hypertrophic cardiomyopathy treatment, which is surgical as well as non-surgical. Once a diagnosis and treatment plan has been reached, the therapeutic plan is discussed with the patient, their families and their referring physicians. Currently, initial treatment option for all form of SCM involves medical management. For the obstructive form of SCM, hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy, medical management is still first line therapy. For the obstructive form of SCM, hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy, medical management is still the first line therapy. However, if medical therapy fails, both surgical and non-surgical corrective approaches are available. First, we will go for surgical myomectomy. Surgical myomectomy involves open heart excision of obstructive heart muscle and results in mechanical removal of muscle segment obstructing flow out of left side of the heart. You just see, this is the interventricular septum, which is hypertrophic and obstructing the blood going from LV to aorta. And when we have cut it, myomectomy done, then you see blood is flowing very smoothly from LV to aorta. Then non-surgical treatment, alcohol septal ablation (ASA). Procedure was first introduced in 1994, and it is a non-surgical option for definitive correction of hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy. This procedure involves percutaneous intervention injection of absolute alcohol into the blood vessel supplying the obstructive heart muscle and results destruction of the muscle segment obstructing flow out of the left side of the heart. After obtaining arterial or venous access through femoral artery or vein, a temporary pacemaker inserted into the right ventricular apex and coronary arteriography done. Then locate the first septal perforated branch of proximal LAD and engage with an over-the-wire balloon, the lumen of which serves to inject contrast and alcohol. The balloon is then inflated and 3 to 4 ml alcohol injected, resulting in reduction in outflow gradient and symptomatic improvement at 6 months follow-up. The amount of alcohol injected has been correlated with area of necrosis found by peak CKMB blood test, and it is an independent predictor of alcohol septal ablation. Here you see, by catheter you have introduced alcohol in the muscles of the hypertrophied interventricular septum and apex and posterior wall, and then this is actually muscle is destroyed by the alcohol and blood flow very smoothly. Now I am going to take to you newer approaches and propose newer direction. Radio frequency approach has been tried and good results. Radio frequency approach has been tried with good results. 7 patients with symptomatic hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy, mean age 43.7, and all were 5 male, and among them 5 were male. Out of 7, 5 are male, and significant left ventricular outflow tract gradient despite optimal drug therapy and unfavorable anatomy for alcohol septal ablation were treated by radiofrequency ablation under 3D electroanatomical system of the hypertrophic interventricular septum. Sustained reduction in LVOT gradient and symptomatic improvement among patients with hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy was present 12 months post-procedure. So obstruction reduced after 12 months. Now it is important to have a hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy clinic at the tertiary care centers. What are the tertiary care centers? Tertiary health care refers to a third level of health system in which specialized consultative care is provided, usually on referral from primary and secondary medical care. In India, under public health system, tertiary care services is provided by medical colleges and advanced medical research institutes. In India, with a common registry connected online to have a full database and regional specialized centers for intervention, we require this. Then genetic studies are done at many centers and are underutilized. They are not utilized in India. Education and training and integrating this disease into clinical teaching program in accordance with existing general agreement guideline is a need today. Developing advancement hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, specific cardiac imaging with expert technical and interpretive echocardiography and cardiovascular magnetic resonance required. We require specialists for echo and MRI person. In addition to initiative involving access to adequate number of trained medical and paramedical personnel, we want trained medical and paramedical personnel to support expanding defibrillator implant program are required, as well as the identification of surgeons experienced in septal myomectomy are also a requirement in India. The cost of medical devices or surgical intervention treatment for SCM, including ICDs or myomectomy, is a point of concern in Indian setting where there is no widely available insurance system. No widely available insurance system placed in India, so there is difficulty in this ICDS and myomectomy program. In India, there is excessive dependency on percutaneous intervention, that is alcohol septal ablation or pharmacology treatment, but still there is insufficient access to surgeons experienced with the myomectomy. Now we have come to the conclusion. The last but not the least, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is a common genetic cardiovascular disease. The phenotypic expression results in various patterns of LV hypertrophy and abnormality of mitral valve appetite. Up to 70% of affected individuals demonstrate resting or provoked LVT obstruction. Patients are initially managed medically. However, significant heart failure symptoms or syncope in spite of optimal drug therapy and significant LVT obstruction require invasive therapy. There is need for establishment of regional centers for management of hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy and collaboration between molecular biologists, physicians, cardiologists and cardiothoracic surgeons. So this was all about hypertrophic cardiomyopathy part 1, part 2 and part 3. Today we have discussed part 3. I am sure you have enjoyed this and I thank you very much. I thank you for your kind attention and for your kind support. And soon I am coming with a very interesting chapter. Within a month I will produce in front of you. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you.